the terminology that is used. And so when the speaker is speaking, if he's not a very good trainer, he will skip over a lot of things and leave a lot of things out, right?
Right.
But we were fortunate enough to have a great trainer who also gave us definitions, terminologies, so we were able to follow and understand. That's key, and it's very important.
Yeah, helped us understand the basics, the nuts and bolts.
Yes, it was the foundation.
Good foundation.
It really was. And so I would say to those that are in a seminar of such, get with another newbie or get with someone in that particular class, because it does two things. It helps you to learn. It also kind of takes some of that fear out, because when you have a partner or someone that is equally as nervous or haven't done this, you can glean off of each other or use each other, come together and work together to get it done. I'm fortunate enough to have a Will King, because he
The
the mouth of the business. It's also important enough to know where your strengths and weaknesses are. So as you're talking to people, as you're meeting people, you want people around you that do what you don't do very well better than you do.
Exactly.
Right.
And speaking of networking events, a lot of times people go to networking events and they go just to get the information, but they never network.
What does network mean?
Well, here's the thing. Networking is simply, in its simplest form, me introducing myself to you, you introducing yourself to me, and we have a simple dialogue about what we do and how we could possibly work together. Okay? So it's amazing to me that people go to networking events and they never network.
Right. They sit in there.
They never network. They sit in a little spot, they get their chair,
right?
They get their cup of water, whatever they may be serving at the event.
Because you never know who you're sitting next to.
You absolutely don't. You actually could be sitting next to your next biggest buyer.
Exactly.
Or you could be sitting next to the person that could be your private lender. You just never know. But one thing that I've learned from a young child, closed mouths don't get fed. They don't get fed. So the takeaway with that when we're talking about networking events is that you have to go with two things in mind. Number one, I'm going to receive, but also I'm going to give. And that giving could be you sharing something with someone else. That receiving could be not only you receiving the information, but also receiving some help that may be sitting right next to you, that could be in that very room. A lot of times at networking meetings, they take breaks and they say, okay, this is the time to network.
Right.
And, people, they'll run out and go to the bathroom, and they stay at the bathroom or they're on their cell phone.
Exactly.
That's not networking.
Because it's so important, right?
Well, yeah, or want to be, I don't know. And so what we want you to understand is the importance of when you're in networking meetings that you're going with the idea in mind, you're going with the expectation. That's a very key word.
Exactly.
Expectation. Because you generally will get what you expect.
Right. And I want to talk a little bit about the shy person, because I sometimes think I'm shy, although you say something different.
No, you're not the shy person.
But the
anyway.
shy person who's quiet, who's not vocal, who is afraid to raise their hand or whatever the case may be. This is a business, right? And so, or at least that's what you're going to the seminar for, to learn something new. So at that point, you have to pretend to be what you're not. If you're not a vocal person, or if you're not a person who is an extrovert, for that moment, for that day, you need to become, because this is going to be the lifeline to your business. You know what I mean? It is the start of your business. And you're not going to be successful as long as you're quiet, as long as you're not networking, as long as you're not taking copious notes. And you can take all the notes and you can do all the networking in the world, but if you're not willing to pull the trigger and apply what you have learned, you will not be successful. It's just that simple.
That's it.
Right?
And I think that it's also important. That's a very good point. It's also important because I believe that we're having some people that are listening to us live. There'll be some that'll listen to the recording. And you may be a husband and wife team. Now, that's important. There's so many moving parts when you're talking about a husband and wife team. In that beginning stage, I was always kind of the one, and you would network some, but I was always kind of the one that, hey, if there is some kind of question being answered, I don't know if you remember this. where the guy held up, it was some kind of prize. I don't know if it was $50 or what it was.
Yes.
And he said, "Who wants this?"
And you ran up
and
there.
everybody raised their hand. But listen to this. What did I do?
You ran up there and got the $50.
I ran up there and got it. And the reason I ran up and got it is because it's not just about wanting it. You got to go get it.
Exactly.
You have to go get it. And so in those beginning stages in our business, we were about going to get it.
And that is such a great point. It's not about wanting it, it's about going to get it. Because we all want it. That's why we're in the room, right?
Everybody wants $1 million. But how many will go out and go get it? Do what it takes. Discipline yourself. Like you were saying, network with people. Get yourself around people that can be instrumental in helping you to get to that point.
Right.
And so the takeaway from that is, yes, you could want it, but until you go and take it, you go and get it, you go and possess it, it's not going to happen.
An entrepreneur versus an entrepreneur.
Exactly. You got to be an entrepreneur. And entrepreneurs are those that are doing it, not just talking about it.
Yes.
They're the ones that are going to the meetings. They're networking with other people. They're getting people around them that's strong in areas that they may not be as strong, so that it moves the overall vision of the team forward.
Right.
So for those that are husband and wife, significant others, whatever your terminology is, understand the strength of each individual person.
Yes.
How important is that?
That's extremely important. And not only in husband and wife teams, I think it's a tad bit easier, depending on how you look at it, for a husband and wife team. But having a team, period, is extremely important.
Exactly.
And again, I would say, because my experience has been about building high-performing teams, having someone around you that can do what you can't do or do it better than you is extremely important. It doesn't mean that you're weaker. It really actually means that you're stronger, because you're now building iron against iron, right? And that's extremely important when you're building a team. And so I would say, know what your strengths and weaknesses are, and also know what your teammates' strengths and weaknesses are, so that you can iron sharpens iron. You get better based on someone knowing something that you don't know, or able to do it better than you are. Because I can, get out there and network like the best of them, but he does it so much better. He is more natural with it. It just comes to him. But I'm more of a behind the scenes, and I'm more on the details of things. You always present a great vision for us to go after, but then all of the things that fall behind that, or to make us successful, is where I come in. So you need both in order to make it happen. And I will say, if you don't have anybody on your team, or if you're not good at speaking about your business and marketing your business, go and get you a Will King. It's just that simple. Get somebody who will do it, right? So that you can be not comfortable, but in your zone. You can operate in your
role, in your strength.
Right.
And it's so important, because when each person is operating in their strength, you got a powerful team. And understanding that I laugh about this all the time. I use the Excel spreadsheet as an example.
I don't know if that's good enough. I'm just kidding.
It's a simple example.
Right.
But sometimes there are things on Excel spreadsheets that is like foreign to me. And so I'll call my wife and I'll say, hey, can you, hide this column or do this or do something? And she'll come in 10 seconds, you got it done. And I'm like, how did you do that? And I'm sitting there trying to figure it out. My mind is just, I'm down the road.
You're right.
But you're good with the details. And that's so important, because you can have a vision, but then you also need to make sure that their steps along the way are being covered. Right. That is vitally important.
Exactly.
Because you can miss a step, and sometimes in missing a step, that can be critical. Detrimental sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's important to also understand that each person's role is as important as the next person.
Yeah, it's all needed.
That's key.
Yeah.
And so when you understand that, then there's no reason to be jealous because this person is better in an area than you are, because you understand the overall vision, and you understand the importance that I may not be as good in this area, but the area that I'm good in, I'm bad. I'm bad. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
And be okay with that. And that takes a strong person.
Right.
It takes a strong person to understand that, hey, I'm not as good in this area. It takes a very strong person to be able to admit that I'm not as good in this area. And so the things that my wife is good in, I'm not as good in, and vice versa. And so when we understand that it's about moving the vision forward,